to another episode of DyerTimes. Today we find ourselves in Chattanooga, Tennessee, just outside RMJ Tactical Shop. They make one of the world's finest tactical tomahawks, and we're going to go check it out. Hi, I'm David Dyer.
David Richard Carmack, RMJ Tactical.
Pleasure to meet you. Absolutely. I'm glad to be down here. Tell me a little bit about RMJ Tactical.
We are a tomahawk making company. That's all we do, and we design specifically with our special forces in mind.
Excellent. Well, I can tell you, I carried this one overseas with me, and it's a little dated. It was great over there. I used it quite a bit, chopping up pallets and carrying it around. But I understand that you guys really stepped it up when it comes to the tactical tomahawk.
Well, we think so. Ryan made historical tomahawks for a long time. He's pretty much an expert in historical tomahawks. And then in 2001, he was asked by somebody in Air Force Special Operations to make a tomahawk very much like the ones that were used in the movie The Patriot, a tactical version of it. And we took that to mean can't break anytime, anywhere.
Excellent. I like that a lot. And I understand we're going to meet Ryan a little bit later when we talk about kind of the process that you all go through to take a piece of metal and turn it into a finely tuned and efficient tomahawk.
We will.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Let's go check that out.
All right. I'll give you a quick tour of the shop here.
Excellent.
When we start out with forgings, we start out with something like this. This is starts out with a round bar and ends up into a tomahawk, and that's done in under a 5,000-pound forging hammer.
Wow.
From there, it's trimmed out. So this is a raw forging, ready for us to start grinding and machining.
Okay. Excellent.
And this is what it looks like after it's been machined and heat treated. This is have the edges machined, heat treated, and then there's a tube welded on the very back of the handle. When you look at one of our strikes, there's a sharpening stone that goes up into the back of the handle and a butt cap that threads into the handle.
Okay.
So we have a sharpening system built in. That was actually a request from 10th Mountain guys who said, hey, we're out in the middle of nowhere and nowhere to sharpen stuff.
That makes good sense.
This is our pantograph. We serial number every piece that goes out. We also do custom engravings for our troops. So we'll put in names or what have you.
So what's some examples of some of the custom engraving that you've got?
Typically names are one. We get a lot of slogans and sayings. A lot of scripture, actually. A lot of people putting stuff like Psalm 144:1 and things like that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I can understand definitely the relationship between man and tomahawk.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a very personal item.
Excellent.
And I had a wife one time tell me, she said, hey, you know what? She said, this is maybe a machismo thing. It's, I don't know if he's going to use it or not, but hey, if it gives him the mindset to get home safe, then that's what I want him to have.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So over here we have our grinding area. We do a good bit of hand grinding on our hawks, both in finishing and in sharpening. So we have a rack here of hawks that our guy John is working on. He's getting them ready for heat treat.
Oh, wonderful. And what model is that?
This is a Storm Crow. It's a fairly new piece for us. And it is a tomahawk that has multiple hand positions.
Oh, excellent.
Right. So you can hold it up close for not only for just general fine work, but also some people like to fight that way. So that is
I know the more Apache style fighting is to choke up on the blade.
True, and also a lot of Filipino martial artists like to fight that way. So over here we have our shipping, putting stuff together area. Here's a finished shrike ready to go out. I was telling you about the end cap. This end cap is 4140 as well. Has glass breaking features, which I used to laugh at. I always thought the spike would be a glass breaker, but some people, their SOP does not allow them to break driver's side windshields with anything that would be considered deadly force. So you can't put a spike through a window. You have to use something like this.
So yeah, basically if somebody sitting in the driver's seat,
right,
it makes it a little less dangerous for them to chop through.
And so up here would be the sharpening stone, which hasn't been put in this particular piece yet. But yeah, they use this end. They actually have their hawk on a weapon sling. They can take it and pop through.
Oh, wow.
That way they've got the hawk in their hand if they need it.
So, but they don't even really have to take it out then. They can just use it as is. That's
Exactly. Here's a kestrel feather. It's a very lightweight version. It's a fairly new hawk for us. We tend to gravitate towards smaller, lighter hawks these days. When I started out, I was making 18-inch long hawks that were very heavy. what I'm finding is that for the type of breaching most soldiers and law enforcement are doing, lighter is better.
Well, I can tell you, as a former soldier myself, carrying between 60 and 80 pounds of gear, into combat. I mean, we had Humvees a lot that would help carry some of that,
Right.
but some of it when we go for foot patrol, light meant all the difference. It meant all the
Exactly.
work.
Exactly. If you're not going to carry it, then
Absolutely.
why make it? This is an example of some of those heavier, longer pieces we're talking about. This is a modern version of the Talon, which is the original design I started making back in the early days in Afghanistan.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's 18 inches, and it'll do some serious damage.
I have no doubt. A lot of cutting force.
Yes. This has been our workhorse for a long time. It's a 1985 Bridgeport CNC mill that we retrofitted. So it's an older American-made mill, but it's all new controls. And so today, what Jonathan is working on is machining G10. He's doing handles for our feathers, actually.
My name is Jonathan Carmack, I'm a machinist here at RMJ Tactical. What we're running right now is we're actually machining some of the handle scales that form the handle on the Kestrel feather model. And the CNC milling machine does this for us. We cut the material out of what's called a G10, sort of like a fiberglass plywood. And we're going to let this machine do this real quick.
Quite a bit of machining on this, not only for tomahawks, but handles and scabbards and things like that as well. We do all our CNC machining in-house.
Oh, excellent. So it really is 100% American made.
Yes. It's
Wow.
not just 100% American made, it's locally made.
Nice.
Everything stays in Chattanooga.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
That's always good.
This is our big mill. This is new for us.
That is
In
beautiful.
fact, we are getting ready to get our fixture plate on this bad boy today. This is a Haas VF3. And for us, what this means is we'll be able to increase our production.
Excellent.
We have, for the last 5 years, been about 4 to 5 months behind order-wise. And we made a serious commitment this year to say, okay, we're going to do away with this backlog. We're going to get ahead of the backlog. And our goal is to get to where when someone orders a Tomahawk that we can ship it that day.
Oh, excellent.
So this is one step toward that process.
Well, and you talked a little bit about weight. So if somebody were to order one today, what would the expected wait time be for that?
Probably anywhere from 3 to 4 months.
Oh, wow.
But that is going to start trimming down very, very quickly.
Excellent. Well, that's just indicative of a great product.
Over here, we have an area where we put our scabbers together.
Hey guys, my name is Jeff Hutchinson. I work over here at RMJ Tactical. I do a lot of the Duracoating, a lot of the Kydex work. I'm going to show you guys how to thermoform a Kydex scabbard and how just our normal production process goes. We normally start out with an 8-inch piece of Kydex, and you can see the holes and slots already cut into it. And we use this super heavy-duty pizza oven to sit and cook it for about 60 to 90 seconds. Basically what we have is a CNC platform that we've got. It's made out of micarta with dowel pans in it. We'll be able to mold it down onto the sheet and then put this cover over it. Real issue with leaving it in too long is you'll start to see that's about right where you want it, right there. But if you leave it in too long, you'll start to see burning along the edges. What we're going to do, we're going to stick that down right on there. Fit all our dowel pins in. We're going to put our cover over it. In there, we've got our opposing side right here. On average, with our wonderful toaster oven, we can produce 10 fully assembled scabbards an hour. Right. Now, as you can see, we've got all our major pinch points over here. We'll slowly work up one side of it. And you can see it's all torn up on one side because this mold's been used for about 5 years now. Okay. Other template, we're going to set it straight on down. We have our two pieces. Here we go. And there you go, it's a fully assembled RMJ bikini scabbard.
Welder, where we weld on tubes, and really that's about it for us. Testing grounds. My shop is where a lot of the hand forging is done. I do a lot of prototyping at my shop. The forging of the Shrikes happens a few miles down the road in downtown Chattanooga at Dixie Industries.
Excellent. That really is fantastic. That you can pretty much your entire product comes within
30 minutes of this spot.
Absolutely.
We're well, even less than 30 minutes now. Yeah, 30 minutes. We're within everything we do.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'll tell you. Now that we've seen the process, let's talk a little bit more about the Tomahawk itself.
Okay.
So Ryan, it was really interesting seeing the process and going from pieces of metal and plastic to the finished product in the Tomahawk. Tell me a little bit about what you're holding there.
This is a Shrike Tactical Tomahawk, so it's a drop forged Tomahawk. It's CNC machined. It's over molded rubber handle. This is kind of our workhorse.
All right, that's pretty impressive. So, what are some of the more unique features with this Tomahawk?
Well, it has a 4140 differentially heat-treated head. The distal tapers throughout, so you can get in and out of things quickly. It's an over-molded rubber handle, so it dampens vibration, also is non-conductive electrically.
Oh, excellent. So, basically what you're saying there is like if first responders are going through a house or cutting through sheetrock and they catch an electric line, it is a lot more safe in that it won't electrocute them in the process.
Right, and also it allows troops to cut power to buildings, things of that nature.
Oh, impressive. So we saw my Tomahawk earlier, and that is something that I made out of a bit of steel. What really sets your Tomahawk apart from anyone else's?
Well, there's no head coming off of a handle. There's no head-handle separation. I would say design is what really sets us apart. Center of gravity, the way that Hawk is balanced, what you can do with it.
Excellent. Well, I'll tell you, let's go see what we can do with it. We've got a vehicle parked out here, and we'll go check it out. And
Sounds
maybe we can tear some stuff up.
All right.
I've got Heidi with me today here at the junkyard.
My name is Heidi Stump. I'm a paramedic and a search and rescue tech.
And Heidi, we're going to be talking about cutting into cars today with the Tomahawk. When you're talking about cutting into cars for emergency rescue type stuff, you're talking about rake and break windows, cutting safety glass, and opening doors. And so there's some safety stuff you want to do. When we talk about that, one, you want gloves on to keep from getting cut. You want iPro, which you brought, and then long sleeves are a good plus too. When you go to cut this window, you're going to want your lanyard on so you don't throw the Tomahawk into the vehicle, because the window will go out pretty quickly. So you're going to use the spike just to hit with a backhand stroke into the window and break it. From there, you can use the neck of the Tomahawk to rake out the broken glass that's left over. And so that's the break and rake side. What you're going to want to do is put this lanyard on, twist it up. You're going to hold the Hawk like this, backhand into the window right in the center. We'll give it a shot. On safety glass, you can do this a couple of different ways. One is to use this forward edge and chop, and open you up a little window that you can then grab the beard and open up. Another way that some people will do this is they'll actually chop in and then pull and cut with the beard. It takes a lot more strength, so I recommend typically going just chopping it. If you've got some brute strength behind you, you can sit there and rip it open as well. So we're cutting safety glass. What you're going to want to do is cut like this and just cut you a nice straight line. What you can do is cut a little square or circle or something like that you can reach in with your Hawk and pull open to get into the vehicle. Give that a shot. Very nice.
All right, so getting into a door. You got a door that's locked from the outside. You can't get in for whatever reason. You're going to be taking a spike. You're going to hit right into this lock mechanism and just yank. Right. So you're going to come in and hit. It doesn't have to be exactly on the lock. The closer you can get it on the lock, the better.
Okay.
So backhand into that and then yank forward.
Okay.
This is scabbard for our Tomahawks. It is thermoform Kydex. It's ambidextrous on both sides. All of the nylon goes in with 3-slot buckles so that it's not permanently attached. You can remove it, put it back on, replace it easily. It's got 2 forms of retention. You have a strap here, and then secondary retention is the Kydex. And so it is a bottom eject style scabbard. You have multiple lash down points for 550 cord. You have a hole pattern that fits all the major adapters. The RMJ Tactical Rump, it fits Blade Tech, Safariland, G-Code equipment. Also interesting, the 3-slot buckles here, those are on Molly centers. So you can actually molly this up to your gear with just a piece of nylon webbing. Here's an example of a Tomahawk that's had some serious use. This is one of our demo hawks that we play with on the barrel and also on cars and stuff. This is what we call a S13. It's a 13.5-inch version of the Shrike. And as you see, when I unscrew the end cap, I have in the back a sharpening stone. This is a 120 grit, what's called a die sinker stone that machinists use. And what this allows me to do is to touch up the edge. So when I have an edge that's looking like that, that's seen better days, I can come in with this stone. I keep the Tomahawk still and take a stone and sharpen that up. It certainly doesn't take the place of some of your nicer sharpening systems, or in our case, a belt sander. But what it does allow you to do is for the guy who's in the field to quickly dress up an edge and get it back to where they can really be cutting with it. This was a request from the 10th Mountain guys who were in Afghanistan, pretty remote areas, and they were saying, hey, you know what, we all carry sharpening stones for our Spydercos and stuff like that, but we don't have anything that's really coarse enough to sharpen our hawks. And so, like a lot of features that we do, they kind of come about from people making requests in the field. And so being round, I can also get in here on the beard. And then also on the spike. And there I get sharpened up and ready to get back into action.
Wow, so it basically took almost no damage between the barrel and the car. Is it even possible to break one of these things?
It is. I mean, it is steel and G10, so you can break it, but it's pretty hard to break it in the hand.
Well, I've seen and I've heard stories of people chopping through brick walls, and we've talked about cars and houses and things like that. Is there any advice that you would give to something that you wouldn't want to tackle with this thing?
Not really. We've had reports of people cutting into M-ramps that were
wow.
set on fire. We've had lots of different stories of people cutting stuff. The main thing is just that you use common sense when using it.
Oh, absolutely, and basic safety procedures, just like not cutting into yourself and whatnot.
Right.
Well, so if someone was interested in purchasing one of these fine models, what would they expect as far as price goes?
Anywhere around $400 to $500.
Okay, and I understand you have a pretty diverse line for any and all tastes.
We do. We have about 5 to 6 different models that we sell, depending on size and weight range, depending on the application you're going to be using.
Okay, great. Well, I definitely appreciate your time and let me hang out in your shop today.
No problem. Enjoy the visit.
Absolutely. Richard, thanks for having me down. It was an absolute pleasure getting out and playing with the Tomahawks and really showcasing your products.
Well, I hope you can see that we love what we do, and we're very passionate about our Tomahawks, and it's very important to us that as we build these primarily for special forces, that we love them, and that's why we build Tomahawks that we can guarantee for life. I mean, if every one of them's got a lifetime guarantee, and we're very proud of the success that we've had and the durability that we've got.
Amazing. So, just like Ryan was saying earlier, he said it is possible possible, not probable, to break one. And if that happens, you know, you just send it back and you guys send a new one out?
Yeah, I had somebody ask, so what do I need to do? And I said, if you can get one part of it back in the box and get it over to us, that we'll do that. Now, we do have some guys that have carried them on multiple tours, and they say, refurbish it, and it hurts our heart, because, you know, this is history that you've got. And he says, no, it's a tool, you know, it's just something I used every day. And so we'll you know, bead blast it, put a new finish on it, and it'll look just like it did the first time it went out. So.
That's amazing. Well, I understand, you know, I know you guys, you know, like you were saying, the tactical product, but I understand that market is even growing a little bit for those that you know, aren't necessarily in the military, you know, like camping and things like that.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. It's really took off over in California, and extreme campers, hunting guides, and things like that. And you know, just think that if you're out someplace and you may get in a situation where you have to rely on something to survive. As Ryan was designing stuff, one of the things that he thought about was, if I could only have one thing, what would it be? And people keep coming back to us, boy, that Tomahawk's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And you think about it, 300 years ago, the frontier folks, what they used was a Tomahawk. Very similar designs to what we do now, but we took away that problem of it ever breaking.
That's amazing. Well, and I think, you know, high-end product, you know, if you're going to trust your life to it, by all means, buy the best. And I definitely think that you guys have one of the best products out there when it comes to the tactical Tomahawk.
We try really hard, and about once a quarter we'll get a phone call from somebody that says that either they or a friend of theirs is back because our Tomahawk was near.
That's amazing.
And that phone call like that changed our job to an avocation, and we understand everyone that goes out may save somebody's life, and we know that odds are low that every one of them will do that, but we never know which one.
Oh, absolutely, and that's absolutely amazing. Richard, thank you again for having me down.
Thanks, Dave.
This was DyerTimes, and appreciate you watching. If you'd like to check a little bit more about what my channel is about, you can click here for practical survival tips, or here for some other tactical product demonstrations, or here for some non-lethal self-defense tips. Thanks again for watching.
Okay. Appreciate it.